It is day 13 of the government shutdown. Mike Johnson has just canceled votes for a third week in a row. We'll talk about maybe if that was to delay a vote on the Epstein files being released or just because they don't want to work on solving the government shutdown. But let's actually first just talk about this Washington Post article that came out detailing how the government shutdown, which is in its 13th day, is now going to be affecting Americans. Last government shutdown, the longest government shutdown, was 34 days. That was during Donald Trump's first term. Now we're in his second term, and he wants to be competing with himself
Go
for the
for the
number,
gold.
yeah, for the number one spot again. So I don't know. He's on track to do it. Nobody's talking. There's no discussions being had because Mike Johnson keeps canceling votes in the House. He keeps extending their vacation. So I'll open up to either one of you. How is this going to start affecting Americans? Like, what can people be expecting right now as we enter into a third week of the House being delayed, and it's day 13 of the government shutdown?
Well,
You
I
wanna
would
go ahead,
ask
Rachel?
Harry. Well, no,
Oh,
I want
okay.
to ask you because,
Okay,
like,
yeah,
during the previous one, my husband got paid because they
sure.
had a provision to pay for the military, but you didn't get paid. So let's give us some
Yeah,
firsthand experience. What was that like, and what was it like for your colleagues, and what were people
I
saying?
had the Yeah, so I worked through I think 3 or maybe 4, 3 or 4, one of them shutdowns, and like you just mentioned, the military always got paid because no matter what they couldn't agree on for the continuing resolution or whatever the issue was that they struggled to reach an agreement on, they always made a provision, always, that said, "We're going to pay the military." Now, apparently, Mike Johnson has declined to do that. He had the opportunity to do that last week, and that would have meant, I guess, bringing Congress back in for a vote. And like you mentioned and alluded to earlier, Sam, maybe that has something to do with Epstein. Maybe, of course it does. Um, but just like the real life implications of people not getting their paychecks, you call your mortgage lender or your rental office and you say, "Hey, y'all are aware the government shutdown, not getting paid." Well, that's nice, Mr. Dunn. The payment's still due on the first. Like it doesn't matter. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
care.
but outside of just not everyday people not getting their paychecks and things like that, um, people are say, "Oh, we can't visit the Capitol, we can't visit the monuments," but there are real life effects outside of just not being able to visit places. I got the opportunity to speak with Congresswoman Lauren Underwood, and she mentioned, "Hey, this is the tax deadline for a lot of people." For people that filed extensions is the 15th,
Wednesday.
Wednesday the 15th. And you look at the IRS office and the employees that are furloughed or everybody's being affected by it. People in the VA, IRS, aka health insurance, all these offices are that people depend on. And if you look at the websites that Donald Trump has instructed, even like the Department of Land and Resources or whatever,
Every
like they
single
are just so
Everyone.
ups they are so like, and that's the thing that these are people that everyday people go to for assistance in issues that they don't care about politics. They just need help. And Donald Trump is totally milking this, and like you said earlier, going for the gold against himself. So people are, like I said, outside of just not being able to visit monuments and stuff like that, people aren't getting paid. That also dampens the economy because people,
Yeah.
need paychecks to spend money. So there are real life issues, real life consequences to this government being shut down. Besides political people
Yeah.
scoring partisan points or whatever.
Yeah, well, before I pass it to Rachel, so the last government shutdown caused the United States, the gross GDP to lose $11 billion.
Wow.
It is extremely, extremely taxing and just it's horrible, horrible for the economy to undergo a shutdown. And this is something that is pretty easily solved right now. I don't know, we could talk more about whether or not the Democrats should be holding strong right now. I believe that they should, absolutely. But basically, Democrats right now are saying we want to extend the ACA subsidies and tax credits. We want to protect healthcare for people. And Republicans are like, hell no, we're not doing that. Absolutely not. We want to just pass a clean bill. We want to keep the government funded so we can have ICE, keep on having ICE deport people and kidnap people from the street and put their heads in bags. And then we're going to go on Twitter and we're going to post videos of them on Twitter and we're going to put 80s music under it and it's going to be super cool and edgy. That's what they want to keep doing, right? So when I was working last semester, I'm a college student right now. I was working for Senator Ed Markey as an intern. And one of the number one things that people would call our office about was Social Security. It is extremely important, obviously, for people who rely on Social Security that they get their paychecks on time. Even a
Exactly.
day late is absolutely detrimental. And people would call and say, hey, I can't get in touch with the Social Security Administration. They're
They're not
so
there.
backed up. Already 9 months ago, they were so backed up. Trump was shuttering the offices, closing offices. He was laying off staff members in local SSA offices, and people already were not able to schedule appointments. And right now, because of this shutdown, I'm going to read just from the Washington Post. Social Security Administration staff, when the government shutdown started, were giving a list of activities that must stop. And speaking on the condition of anonymity, some of these items included benefit verification letters, which Social Security gives to people so they can realize that they're eligible for certain benefits, like subsidized housing or old age pensions, which, I mean, let's just say like a pension for some people, again, is the same as getting a paycheck. You absolutely
Yeah.
need to be getting it on time. And a lot of these people that are going to be getting these negative effects are Trump voters. They're people who voted for Trump, who heard Trump say,
But
I'm going to
that's not
lower
what
the
he's
cost of
saying.
eggs.
He's saying
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
only gonna be for Democrat things.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like, "I'm
only
sorry, Social
Democrats. Yep.
Security is not just a Democrat thing." I mean, I don't think he knows the difference, but
But so that's the grand hypocrisy here, and the irony
yeah.
is that it's heartbreaking that these effects are going to be happening to people,
Yeah.
but these people voted for Trump, and I absolutely am not advocating for them to experience this, but this is why we were saying he's going to come after Social Security, he's gonna come after Medicaid. Of course, they've done both of those things, and under all of this is him invading Chicago, and which is why, we maybe should be saying maybe the Democrats are right to have a government shutdown right now so that these things, we can possibly stop funding ICE on such a
Yeah.
grand scale. But I'll pass it to you, Rachel. How is this possibly going to be affecting military families? I saw pictures of people in military vests and outfits waiting in line at food banks. We're the wealthiest nation in the world,
Yeah.
and our veterans are waiting in line at food banks. And the food banks right now are also being shuttered. I mean, can you answer that? And shed some more light on that?
Well, yeah, so my brother-in-law, who's a congressman, he has a lot of time off.
Yeah.
As the speaker says, they're doing very important work in their districts, and I have to say my brother-in-law is doing very important work in his district, and he lives in Northern Virginia, so he does still keep going to work. But on Friday, he visited some local food banks, and he said it was heartbreaking to see the federal workers standing in line at food banks. It really, I heard he didn't talk to
Yeah.
me. He was talking to my brother, but I mean, sorry, my brother, my husband, his brother, and I heard him, like, I could hear it in his voice, like how just, remarkable and disheartening it is. And so there is apparently a provision that Trump has made. Every available dollar is going to go to pay military because, again, it goes back to this. They didn't vote on it before the shutdown. There was a bill proposed. They didn't vote on it, and then um, they could come back. Speaker Johnson could come back and call people back to vote on this, but he doesn't want to because if he did that, he would have to swear in or make it even more obvious that he's not swearing in Adelita. I don't.
Catalina
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Gravalha. Yeah.
yeah. So from Arizona 7, and so he doesn't want that because as soon as they come back in session and she is sworn in, she will sign the discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And the only hope
They
they
don't want that.
have is, yeah, I mean, I keep saying this is like one of those things, like it's going to catch up with them eventually. But I mean,
Absolutely.
but what they're trying to do, I suspect, is get a Republican who has signed it to remove their name from the discharge petition so that it would be even. But that's what they're hoping to do. It doesn't seem like there's been any movement. I mean, obviously there hasn't been any movement. So I think we would have heard. So anyway, all that's to say, they knew that not paying the military would be a fucking disaster. So it would just be horrible for them. I'm not sure if we can curse on these. Anyway,
You can say
yeah,
whatever you
okay,
want.
okay. It would just be a nightmare. And so um they he is taking Trump is taking money from something else. I think it's like research and development
So
maybe or
yeah,
something.
he's taking money. He ordered the
I
Pentagon
read
to
it, but
repurpose research and development funding to make payroll for members of the military.
yeah, that's not
Yeah,
legal, but
no,
we've passed not legal a long, long time ago. I mean, we can't even see it in the review mirror because it's been so long. But like, this is not something they can do. but this is what they're doing because they are smart enough to know little things are problematic. But rest assured, federal workers are not going to get paid, which includes Coast Guard, and it's unclear because Coast Guard falls under Homeland Security whether they're getting paid or not. And in the National Capital Region, the DC area, there are lots of federal workers who are having to go to food banks in order to feed their families. And you're right, the trickle down effect of this is people not going out spending money, not going out to eat, not buying groceries. Not doing the things. And for the people who are expected to go to work, I mean, think about it. You're expected to go to work and incur all the cost of going to work without getting paid? I mean, who can afford
Yeah.
to do that? Because, like, you have to pay for fuel, you have to pay for commuting, you have to pay whatever your mode of transportation is. You have to pay for daycare, you have to pay for
Well,
before and after care at school, all these things. They don't like, I mean, there are some banks that are, giving people are helping, like, maybe with mortgages or some like, but it's not as simple. I mean, there's still things that do cost money. And people are going to start seeing it. With the VA, we see that they have some people are not essential workers. So then some appointments, VA medical appointments are not available. And come on, you know what it's like. I had a doctor's appointment. My doctor had an emergency like a month ago and just needed a prescription refill and it was fine. She couldn't go, but I still haven't had that appointment because trying to reschedule it with what she has available and my schedule, it's not easy. And on some like a specialty appointment or something you've waited for months for, and we've all been there, it takes forever and then you're trying to like get back in. So all this has a huge trickle down effect in many, many different areas.
huge.
But, I think the main point is, I mean, the president is someone who bragged about not paying overtime, that he would, and not pay workers. He doesn't care about people. Actually, I think he likes to see people hurting and he likes to punish people because he's a sick motherfucker, but also because it makes him feel powerful.
Totally.
And
Let me
he
ask you something, Rachel, because
yeah.
you said something earlier. It's a lot of people. I got a message from somebody today that we're in this political sphere. We understand what's going on, and we know the names of the players, but
Mhm.
the everyday person doesn't. They're
Yep.
paying attention to the government now
Mhm.
that's being shut down,
Yeah.
and their biggest question is how is he allowed to do this? Can you explain to people why and how Donald Trump is able to get away with what you just said? It's illegal. How is he able to? Well, not even, well, we know how, but who is allowing this? Because there are checks and balances, right? Or supposed to be.
I mean, it's because they're just beholden to him. I mean, the Republicans are so afraid of him.
That's it. The
Mike
Republicans.
Johnson,
That's what you
yeah,
say. They're
yeah.
beholden.
I mean,
Who
yeah,
is they?
the Republicans, I mean, they are so afraid of him. And I
Yeah.
have to ask you, Harry, you had relationships, professional relationships. You
Yeah.
saw these people. I mean, are you surprised by anyone? I mean, some are new, but some are current. Like, they just they are so afraid of this man. And
Yeah.
what do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about the fear they have for him?
Well, yeah, I think it's political. Obviously, it's their political career. The people that you've seen that are willing to actually take some kind of a stand against him don't
Massey,
really.
Thomas Massey is one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's surprising. That's good. Well, that's what people in his district. But I'm thinking about people like Tom Tillis, or even
Yeah.
going back even further, like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. People that it wasn't like, you know what, I'm just going to do what's right because this is right. The hell with my career. It was a senator from
Mhm.
was it Tennessee or something? Uh, I'm blanking on it, but he took a stand against it, and people that just are willing to just say the hell with this because they know that it appears to them going against Trump is political suicide for their political careers, and the ones that are standing up to him, either one don't care or are about to retire anyway. So they're so obsessed with power. I mean, Mitch McConnell has
Yeah.
even voted against Donald Trump, some of his confirmations, and he's just a scumbag as it is. But just the people that just are done with this, I feel like they'll be the ones that are more willing to stand up. But clear that it's political suicide going against Donald Trump.
But how is it okay going with him? This is one thing I don't understand because his approval rating is so, so bad. So why stay with someone who has an approval rating so bad? It's confusing
That's
to
why
me.
I'm confused now because in the past, that's what it was. MAGA wanted what Donald Trump was doing. Right now, it's like, wait a minute, how are you all still staying? Are y'all reading the same polls that we are? Clearly, we're not. Um, because I hope, and I hate making predictions, but I really believe 2026 is going to be brutal for the Republicans. Brutal, because everybody is pissed off about what's happening. Period. Like,
I mean,
everybody's pissed off.
yeah, you see the anger in the town halls that have been happening for the last 9 to 10 months of this administration. People are fucking pissed, like, I've never seen them before, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, like, you know, a lot of these pe I think a lot of these Republicans have maybe deluded themselves into thinking that, "Oh, it won't affect me, and it's not gonna affect my people, and I'll be fine." Like, AOC just went she did a live stream the other day, and she had this really great she said this really great anecdote about her conversation with a Republican on the House floor. She didn't say who it was, but she basically just said, "Hey, dude, you know, you're voting against keeping all these rural hospitals open, and a lot of your constituents are on Medicaid. Like, what are you doing here? Wouldn't you want the Affordable Care Act to be as strong and as healthy as possible?" And the guy responded, and he just said, "I don't think it affects my constituents. I think you're wrong. I don't believe it does." And it objectively does, right? So that's what we're dealing with here. Like that we're dealing with like a gross incompetence level. And I think that going forward when we're talking about you know, they're afraid of him. Donald Trump is coming after Letitia James and James
Yeah.
Comey and John Bolton. He's doing this for a reason. You know, it could be partially that he genuinely, like you said, Rachel, he enjoys, you know, hurting people and he enjoys using his power to harm people that once came after him, even though there's, you know, he had to fire people in the Justice Department for because he couldn't get anyone to sign he couldn't
Yeah.
get anyone to sign the indictment against James Comey because there was nothing. No one could find anything wrong. He had to get some random staffer to sign off on it. Now that same person's going around doing. By the way, that person if we win in 2026 and 2028, we need Nuremberg trials. Like they all have to go to jail
Yeah.
for that. That is absolutely insane. But he's doing this weaponization of government. You know, it's again so hypocritical because how many times during the election did Trump say, "Oh, they came against me and they weaponized government against me," and he turned around and just does literally the exact same thing, way worse than what he was accusing Biden of doing for him. So I think that's a big reason why people are afraid right now. I don't think any of these Republicans want to have themselves or their family come after by Trump, right? It's absolutely sickening as like a 21-year-old seeing like as soon as it's my time to become an adult, the economy is about to crash. We're going to go in a recession, and you know we're on the brink of a dictatorship here. I love that. I love that.
It's really frustrating. Well, frustrating isn't even the word. Like everybody says, like I feel like we need a new word for frustrating
Yeah, I know.
with
I know.
with the times that we're in right now. And it sucks because, like you mentioned, Sam, they're getting crushed in these town halls with but the ones that Mike Johnson has told them not to do because he's going to sit there and insist that those are paid agitators. They're the Democratic Party and blah 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 blah. And then you mentioned, and forgive me if I'm jumping the gun here about Trump doing all this persecution of his political enemies with his tweet that he put out or his truth about January 6th. And it says at the end of it, everybody notices it says, do something. Is that signaling to Chris?
Yeah.
Hey, go get. Is it Chris Ray's turn now?
He would love for it to be Christopher Wray's turn. I mean, he would love all of this. That I think that nothing is too much. Nothing is too far for him. But certainly he will if anyone goes against him, I can tell you what they're going to face. They're going to face death threats. They're going to face what else?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
it.
I mean, they're gonna his tweets against them, which will, result in death threats for sure. I mean, that is definitely going to happen.
Well, let's read this tweet because he says the Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th. If this is so, which it is, a lot of very good people will be owed big apologies. What a scam! So, like, obviously, he's gearing up for some type of indictment similar to what he's been doing to James Comey and Tish James. But like, you know, from a mental acuity point, you have to ask the question, like, does he know who was president on January 6th, 2021? Like, is he so senile at this point that he doesn't remember that he was president when January 6th happened? I don't know, right? I
The
genuinely do not know.
Biden FBI is insane. They call it the Biden FBI. Biden said Biden wasn't president. He wasn't vice president. Donald Trump was the president for the last 4 years. prior to that day, for 3 years and up to 361 days, or however many, 14
Yeah,
days, January 6th or whatever, from which he wasn't the president. But give me a break. Like, you talk about mental acuity, and by the way, I would love to see Jake Tapper's book on that, on Biden's mental. I mean, we talked about Biden's mental
I
acuity.
know.
Jesus Christ,
I
man.
mean, and I don't understand. I don't think people are talking about it enough. I don't know why the media is not talking about it enough. And before you got on, Harry, like Sam and I were talking a little bit about. Well, he tweeted something, or on Instagram yesterday, he had a post about the JD Vance interview with George Stephanopoulos. You should go on this island on
Yeah,
Instagram and see it because, I mean, George Stephanopoulos was like, "You're not doing this. I'm not just going to let the vice president, I don't care who he is, just say lies and not answer questions and just say whatever he wants to say."
yeah,
It's like, you remember when I, Sam, you're probably too young, but I remember the Republican debates prior to, I guess it was when Mitt Romney became the nominee. So I can't even do the math on this. 2012,
yeah,
I guess, for the
yeah,
2012 election.
10
But
years
what it
ago.
was is, but Herman Cain, rest in peace, don't go
yeah.
to rallies during pandemics. Anyway, he, no matter what they asked him, he was like, "Let me tell you about my 999 plan." Like, if it was like, "So what do you think about, you know, uh, I can't, gun control?" "Well, let me tell you about my 999 plan." And everything, he just said it. He, like, it didn't matter what the question was, he was going to answer it. His answer was going to be the same. And that's how it is with Trump and these, like, this whole thing. It doesn't, like, and with all the not with Trump, but with the Trumpians, like, it doesn't matter what the question is asked. JD
Yeah.
Vance did the same thing on 3 different shows. It was to make sure that he got his propaganda sound bites out so that they could clip that and they could put it on all, like, they would have the clips of him saying this on these shows, even though it had nothing to do with it. And so he was lying, and George Stephanopoulos was like, "Bye." Kristen Welker, on the other hand, just let him say it, and he ran over her. I mean, she tried, but very ineffectually to counter it. But they want to say the couple of their talking points, that this is the Democratic shutdown, that the Democrats are shutting it down, even though, I mean, polling shows that people blame the Republicans because the Republicans are in power.
People always blame the
Absolutely
party in
not.
power.
Party in power.
That's
Yeah,
always what happens.
that's why Democrats make sure they don't have them. And then the other thing is they want to say that the No
Yeah.
Kings protest that will be happening on the 18th, on Saturday,
Did you
that
see
it
what they're
is,
saying?
yeah, they're saying that it's like, I hate America. I'm like, dude, I don't even like to leave my house. So I don't leave my house for things that I hate. I leave my house to do things that I like, not for,
Like, my
so
my sweatshirt
I
says,
love it.
I don't
I've
hate
been
the country,
admiring
I
it.
just hate him."
Yeah, where's the lie? I mean, that's the thing, is like, I love my country. That's why I will go protest.
Yeah.
I love my country. I love it enough to say we cannot let this stand. And I mean, I am heartened by is the Israelis who have been protesting every week, even though Bibi's still in power and they can't get him out because it's very divided country. It's a split. It's about the same split we have here, but they're protesting against him every weekend, every Saturday night. Why? Because it matters, because they're exercising their right, and they're actually have him on notice. I mean, and I think that every time we do this, it scares them a little bit. I mean, they're still going to try to do a lot of bad shit. Maybe they'll try to do it more and accelerate it, but it's very important that we get out on these protests because, and you can tell what they're afraid of because this is stuff they talk about. It's really like a child, you know? I mean, like, they can say they're not scared, but you hear what they're saying and then you know what's on their minds. And
Yep.
so they're very simplistic creatures.
They're parroting the exact same things. When you have the whip Tom Emmer saying that people who attend these rallies are terrorists. Like that, like
Who
that was
hate their
his
country.
words. That
Hmm.
was his words. And you know that starts at Donald Trump when he talks about and not even Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, when he talked about
Hate him.
the entities that may be funding these. And it's not, that's the thing. It's, they don't realize this is just normal grassroots people pissed off, showing up, trying to find a way to get
Yeah,
involved. Like,
this is like the most American thing you can do is go out and protest the
absolutely.
government. If you feel like the government is authoritarian or tyrannical or you feel like they're overstepping what their bounds are, right? You go out and protest. It's like the most fundamental American use
Sam,
of your First Amendment.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sam, we saw it with when they tried to cancel Kimmel. You see the number of subscriptions
Yeah.
Hulu and Disney
Disney.
Plus and all them lost?
Yep.
Like, it was that was people showing that wasn't some messaging or funded, organization telling people
No, it
to
was just
that
people
was
like, "I
just
wanna do something, and this is what I
exactly.
can do." No, I mean, I think
It
that's
was
the thing about the No
organic.
Kings. Yeah, it was, and I've been to all the No Kings protests. I've been to every large protest. In different places because we were in different place in June, and we went to a local one where we were, and it was so genuine. So, like,
Yeah.
people just wasn't
People just fucking pissed
yeah.
off and
Yeah,
wanted to
they
go out there
are,
and
and they
say
want
something.
to do something, wanna get out there and do something. But I am I am really concerned that, I mean, getting back to what we said of how, they don't care, who is hurt, and I think you had a tweet from Russ Voigt?
Yep.
Uh, yeah.
Russ Vaught. I mean, so
Oh, Vaught,
wait,
yeah, I don't even know how to say his
before we
name. I
talk
don't
about
care enough to learn how to
well,
say his name.
before I reference that tweet, someone put in the chat a while ago, Joan put in the chat, "If the Biden FBI was in the crowd, why would Trump have pardoned them?" That's a
Yeah.
Hello.
yeah, that's
Uh,
great. Why don't we should
Hello.
start
Go
saying no more?
Joan! Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
Hello.
why
that.
did he
I like
pardon
that.
them, right? And so, I don't know, Mike Johnson's gonna go out there and say that the No Kings protesters are terrorists, but everyone on January 6th is a
He's
peaceful
such a little
protester,
shit.
right?
I
That's what I
can't
was
stand
waiting for.
him.
I'm waiting for them to go, okay, so you're definitely calling the people who were there on January 6th terrorists, right?
No, no, they're not. They're all getting pardoned, and they're all peaceful, and they were, even the ones that smeared their feces on the wall of Nancy Pelosi's
Yeah.
office, those guys are all fine. But going back to Russ Vought, which he tweeted word for word, "The rifts have begun." RIF. For those of you who don't know, that means reduction in force.
Yeah.
First of all, this guy is going to hell, right? He absolutely
Yeah.
is. He's on a first class ticket straight to
Yeah.
hell. Like, I mean, you have to be a despicable, disgusting human to tweet like so joyously and happily that you're about to furlough and lay off a bunch of hardworking federal workers who have been working for the past 2 weeks. By the way, without pay, the TSA workers are currently in the airports dealing with hundreds of people who are pissed off. The lines are delayed. They're not getting paid right now. And what was it, Christy Gnome's dumbass on the screen talking about the Democrats shut down the government, and like you just want to get on the plane, and you have to hear her stupid ass talk about some
I
bullshit.
cannot stand it. I put my AirPods in, and my daughter, she was like, we were flying somewhere, and she had her picture up there. My daughter was like, "Mama, has she had some work done?" I was like, "Oh no, honey, she's had a lot of work done."
Not some, just
But
a
yeah,
lot. A
yeah, yeah.
lot.
But no, I mean, like
Well, so they're just
they're
they're
doing this,
basically
and yeah, they're just getting rid of jobs,
yeah,
and they're gleeful about it. And by
they're
the
half.
way, these jobs are people who help you. They are people who answer the phone. They are people who do the things that you need
Schedule
done.
your appointments.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to feel it. And if you think you're feeling the effects of the shutdown, you're going to feel it even more when the people are never coming back to work, and they're never going to be there again. And they are very excited. Well, I mean, at least he's excited about this. Again, I think Trump is excited about the power only, but they
Yeah.
this and they keep saying this is we're gonna what the president said it. I don't know what the quote, I can't remember what it is exactly, but it was like they're cutting like Democrat areas, or it's going to be Democrat
Yeah,
things. But I
states,
mean, yeah, and
just Democrat
yeah,
states.
but that is not true. It is not true. And it's,
And
they're gonna figure this out. I mean, like you said, like they're gonna see it is your constituents who do rely on rural healthcare. I mean, my goodness, like a lot of states with rural areas and the rural healthcare crisis are red states. That's
Yep.
just a fact.
Well, people are going to find out what the Trump golden age of America looks like, right? This is what it is. The White House said recently that they're arguing that furloughed government workers, are not entitled to back pay when the
Mhm.
shutdown ends. They do not want to pay
I think
people.
that is illegal. I mean, again, we've
Of
gone way
course,
past what's illegal
we're
or
yeah.
way
whatever,
past
or
illegal,
yeah, but
They
but
passed
it,
that during Trump's longest shutdown too, by the way. That became law during one of the Trump shutdowns. But I wanted to mention real quick, you talked about the Republican states, and I have a list. The top 10 states that are going to be affected by this. Number one, West Virginia, with a 387% increase in healthcare premiums. Wyoming, Alaska, Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas, South Carolina, Alabama, South Dakota, and North Dakota, rounding up the top 10 at 234% increases in their healthcare premium.
Okay, Harry, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be this, like, but I wish that we would just start saying the numbers and not the percentage of increase because not all of us are
Oh, yeah, yeah,
gifted
yeah,
at
true.
math. And, I'm always like, "What does that mean?" And I always like, "Okay, it says if it's
Yeah.
50% more,
Carry
is
the
it
one, carry
double?"
the
Yeah, I know.
one.
But a friend of mine here in Florida, she is single, in her 40s. She has it was $25 a month, it's going to be $250 a month. It's over 1,000% increase.
Yeah.
Um, and this is like show what people were paying and what they're going to pay. Because if you're like, you have to come up with another $225 a month, think about it. Could you do
Where
that?
you
I
gonna
mean,
get that from?
yeah,
Exactly.
because that's like that's real money. And for
Yeah.
people who multiply that by a family of four or whatever, like if it's every person, um,
Yeah, well,
this is what we're fighting against.
this is why I like what Senator Warnock of Georgia is doing, where he's tweeting out the
Yes.
increases in
Yes.
health insurance premiums that are gonna
Me
go
too.
up,
Yep.
and they're, like, huge numbers, like, stuff that you really can't even believe is real, but it's totally real. This is stuff that his constituents are sending his office, and I
Yeah.
love that he's just tweeting it out. He's just
Well,
showing
not
people.
not only Warnock, but what y'all thoughts about this? Marjorie Taylor Greene also. She's doing
What's
it
going
too.
on with
What
I mean,
the
did
hell
she
is going
realize that?
on?
I guess they're calling her, which begs the question, if they're calling her and saying this, aren't they probably calling other Republican
Every single, yes,
members?
Oh,
absolutely they are.
absolutely.
They're getting calls, but they're denying the reality that it's happening. And I will say, calling your representatives is huge. They do pay attention to
Mhm.
that.
They
To
do.
people who take the time to call, it is very meaningful.
Yep.
Yep.
I said earlier I worked in a federal office as an intern. I'll tell you firsthand, every single call is logged, and the senator is given a tally of what people have called about at the end of every single day. So like the number one thing that people were calling about was Elon Musk when the administration started, and they were opposed to Doge, and so he was talking about Elon Musk and Doge, and said it really works. With the last thing, because we're at kind of 30 minutes here, and I don't want to go too long, but we've been saying for a long time about how, this administration is entirely fueled by Project 2025. Of course it is. They're 50%, I think a little bit more than 50% of the way through with the actual policy recommendations in the actual Project 2025 book. And so Russ Vought, he's like one of the main authors of that. He's in charge of OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget. Sorry, that is like the central nervous system of the entire federal government. They have the power to basically turn off or start funding certain agencies if he wants to or doesn't want to. So it's really like the central nervous system of the federal government. And the reason why they're doing this, everyone says, why do they want to fire all these people? Because that's what's in Project 2025, right? They want to go ahead and fire all these people because they're not trying to have a government that operates effectively. They're trying to take a bulldozer to the federal government. They're trying to fracture it so heavily that they are able to build up basically an authoritarian state. And that's actually just the premise of Project 2025. So they've already fired between 216,000 to 300,000 federal workers in the 9 to 10 months that Trump has been in office. And right now, they're just doing it again, right? So that's why we've been saying as Democrats, they're already firing people, and what they're doing right now during this shutdown is just an extension of that. It's heartbreaking, absolutely. But this is nothing new. They've been doing it already illegally. And now Trump wants
Yeah.
to use the government being shut down as a way to do it more. Remember, he had that tweet recently where he was like, oh, the Democrats are doing me a favor. They're not stupid. So I don't know why they're
Yeah.
doing this. They're doing me such a big favor having the government shut down. And you have to sit back and wonder, like, either he doesn't care about the ramifications that are clearly affecting people that voted for him, right? A huge number of almost like disproportionately so of Trump voters rely on Medicaid, rely on rural hospitals, live in rural areas who don't have access to high quality healthcare. So clearly this is affecting them. So either he doesn't care about this or he doesn't think that he's going to have to face the voters again. And
Well, for
that's really the scariest thing.
well, 2 things. Well, 1, he doesn't have to face the voters again.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. Now, I mean, they're all kind of like you said, you can make the arguments and worries about him leaving office, and that's a whole different story, and we don't have time for that right now. But he doesn't have to face the voters. The people that are enabling him, and this is what we talked about earlier, Rachel, they have to face the voters again. And that's when I'm wondering, when the hell is this break from him going to come? Because they realize he doesn't have to face the
Yeah.
voters again.
That's
And
that's
yeah,
that's what's
go
so
ahead, Sam.
insane. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's just what's so insane. Like, you look at these Republicans, they're seeing the same polling that we are, right? Like Susan Collins in Maine, there was a poll that came out that shows Graham Plattner, who's the Democrat running against her, this really, amazing, fresh new face with a crazy, interesting backstory. And it got when he speaks, you listen to him, right? Because you can
Yeah.
tell he's speaking from the heart. Compare that to Susan Collins, who's like a fucking dinosaur in Congress, who has done absolutely nothing for her entire term. She goes
To
and
be
you look at this
concerned.
polling, and it's like
She's
he's up
concerned,
like
yes.
20 points, and
Yeah.
you have to wonder to yourself, like, they're seeing the polling, right? They can see the horizon, right? They understand that 2026 for them is, it does not look like a good
But I
year.
don't understand. It doesn't seem like they really do get it. I
It
mean, you
doesn't
know
seem
they're
like they get
seeing
it.
it, but it's like Mike Johnson and like swearing in this new member of Congress from Arizona 7. Like it's just if you just bury your head in the sand, is something gonna happen? I mean, I don't know. Are we gonna invoke the Insurrection Act and not have an election in 26? Like, what is the plan here? What are you thinking is going to happen? Because it like I'm not a conspiracy theorist and I don't actually think those things, but on one hand, you're like, what how do you think this is
Well,
going to
that's
be?
why I'm saying, like, they don't think they're gonna have to face the voters again. That's why they're so comfortable doing these horrible things to their constituents, because in a normal government, you would never, ever, ever think about touching people's health care or their Social Security checks or any type of, things that people rely on to get by, and yet they're doing it callously. Except in fact, they're tweeting about how happy they are to do it. So
Well,
anyway,
I do want to mention real quick because
yeah,
you said something earlier, Sam, how they're going to continue to fire these people. I want people to know that are watching that there are lawsuits and challenges that are happening.
Yeah.
They're not just people just standing around. And if you realize before the government shut down, shortly, actually, probably like a couple days before, the government was forced to hire back people that they wrongfully
Yeah.
terminated. So there is a fight still going. They're just not just standing around twiddling their thumbs. Some people are, but there are a lot of people out there fighting to make sure that although they might be able to, we're going to make it impossible for them to do so. So there are people standing up and fighting. And just another thing, Vogt, if you go look at him, he's in his 40s, by the way.
I
So
mean,
yeah, like
I am way older than him. I'm in my 50s
ages
and
the fuck
he
out of you.
yeah, I know. You gotta not be evil. I'm telling you. It really
Don't be
being
evil
does
if
a
you
wonder.
don't want to age like a
Yeah,
being a
it's
hateful
true.
son of a bitch
old
really,
crone.
really, really
He's in
takes
his
the age out of you.
40s, so
Also
just
moisturizer
FYI.
and sunscreen, but I don't think it is really aging him from the inside.
Yep, yep,
Yep, that's
yep,
what hate does to your heart, folks.
yep.
Yeah, it's
Um,
true.
all right. Well, I hope this was informative to you all. We really want to keep doing these. We're a part of a new media network called The Siren. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you have seen on social media. It's kind of turned into like a right-wing hellscape. Elon Musk owns Twitter, if you didn't know. We have Trump billionaires buying TikTok, and Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook, and so the landscape right now doesn't look good. And so we'll just close by saying that a big reason that we founded the Siren, which is what this show was hosted on today, is that we can take back ground on social media and develop our own left-wing media ecosystem. So that when we're running incredible candidates like we have in 26 and 28, we actually have the tools to get their message out. So we'll just close by that. Feel free to subscribe for us. We have daily, subscribe to us. Again, thesirennetwork.com. We have daily content by Harry, by Rachel, by myself. And I hope this was very informative. Go out and protest. Go to No Kings.
Go
That's
there.
on October 18th. Make your voice heard. If you're able to go out and protest, it's probably like the number one most impactful thing you can do right now is talking to your friends and family and just go out and protest. We will be with you. We're with you
I
every
love it,
day.
Harry.
And yeah.
I need a new protest shirt.
Oh, I didn't see that shirt. What does it say? I don't hate the country. I hate him. Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
That's what it is. I love this country. I just hate the people running it right now.
We do love it. That's why we care. We only care because I mean, if we didn't love it, if we hated it, we wouldn't still be caring so much. We'd just be trying to live our lives but we care and we want it to be
Absolutely.
as, what it can and should be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching us
Thanks, y'all.
again.
Yeah. You guys have a good day.
I'll be at the Boston protest, No Kings protest, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.